and welcome to the Raw Review. I'm Michael Sidgwick, joined by Michael Hamflett to discuss everything that went down on last night's show. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube for daily wrestling podcasts where we preview and review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have roundtable discussions, we have question and answer time podcasts, wrestler interviews on occasion, and we round up the week with a bloody good quiz, of course, on wrestle culture. Hamflett, Raw, broad thoughts.
My broad thoughts are, it was fine, but I have broader thoughts on WWE's...
Decline.
No, I won't go that far yet. If I did say decline now, we'd still be very, 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 very gradually declining in December because that's how gradual the decline is. But we've talked about this the last couple of weeks. There are still too many what feel like compromises being made on this road to WrestleMania. Yeah. And
I read a great take of WrestleMania 2000. Saw that on Twitter and I'm thinking, I can't remember who, apologies, but I was like,
that's worrying. Because, yeah, that's kind of where it feels at the moment. That many overstars, that many over weeks of television. And, well, everybody needs a spot. Yeah. Why don't we make all the spots valueless? Because that's what happened then, and the comparison would be apt. I will feel better because I'm a sucker for aesthetics and match graphics. Pop me, and we get one on this very show. The WrestleMania match graphics, all that sort of stuff. Just a card being created in itself is something that I get excited by. So when the match is made real, I will like it more than I do hypothetically. But it's too often the case at the moment that the matches that appear to be being made real or the things that you can be invited to speculate on are just not necessarily what I would have liked. So the whole thing, the whole show, full of these people that I like, feels in a bit of a state of flux. Direction's good. Everyone's on this collision course to WrestleMania, but I'm just not mad keen on some of the individual sections of it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to say...
WrestleMania 16 things inspired. Yeah, the more I think about that, the more worryingly inspired that is.
Yeah, very, very much there are parallels to be drawn. I'll probably end up repeating myself, as I often do quite a lot over the coming weeks. Well-booked compromise for me. Like, it's not entered a booking tailspin. Certainly there are decisions that I don't think are particularly great, and you could argue that booking the least effective card for, of all events, WrestleMania, no matter how good the stories are or how sort of well you've done to draw these wrestlers and characters together, the booking is bad even if the storytelling's good, you know? But we'll get to it. This Raw, for me, fine to bland.
Yeah.
Fine bland. There was a couple of high spots that I was near expecting, though.
You were near expecting. Were you at least expecting one of the high spots to be from Jey Uso as he opened up the show in Smashville, Tennessee? Everybody doing the yeet, and then him getting in the ring. He's added, there's just little extra touches that add in.
He's got a yeet, and then there's another yeet.
He gets in the ring and he gets the camera and he's like, we'll do it again. And we said this on SmackDown. It was obviously so popular on Raw that they've now just made it a bit, right? But
it reminds me of the way you said that of you've seen Arrested Development, right? Yeah. When George Michael is trying to get off with a teacher, and he's got this dumb little dorky way of trying to get her attention. He's like, I know, do you want to dance? Do you want to eat?
That's kind of like Jey Uso though, because we eating like that. Even he almost can't believe his luck that
want to dance?
People want to eat on call. Yeah, he does it now because it's become part of the entrance, but often in WWE, that's what immediately makes it feel a bit fake and synthetic, and people actually want it. Like the chants for one more time are real in the building. So as long as people are actually asking for that encore and that second go around, I think you might as well keep doing it. He's added extra touches now. He'll find little kids in the crowd, and I'm kind of always a sucker for that. They cannot believe their friggin' luck when they're getting to eat next to Jey Uso, and it does for me that elevates
of course
the star level as well.
Absolutely.
It's brilliant. So he does all that, and because he's obviously doing the encore, he goes to the desk and he stands on the commentary desk, and all the fans are standing. The way they shoot this is brilliant. So the silhouette of the fans that are stood up obscures that Gunther's on the horizon, and Michael Cole goes, Jey, watch out, and we can't see, but we just see Jey Uso sort of disappear from view because Gunther's done a sweep the legs attack on Jey Uso. He's hit the deck, He like brutalizes him on the floor. He does a suplex on the announce table, starts chopping away, he rolls him into the ring, he rips the t-shirt off, and he's just chopping the bare chest of Jey Uso. He's absolutely battered him. He hits a powerbomb and he leaves him laying. He starts to walk out, and the implication is, I can't remember if Gunther's just shouting this outright, but he's basically saying, don't be stupid, Jey. There's just more of this in store for you. Don't do it. Getting to the point, basically. Jey is laying in the ring, selling, and he grabs the mic, and he's knackered. Obviously, he's in pain, but he says, I probably shouldn't say this. Probably shouldn't do it, but here we go. Gunther, me and you, WrestleMania. And Gunther looks incensed. It's like, that was the opposite of what my brutal attack was supposed to create. So he kind of starts walking back to the ring, but now like all security are obviously there at ringside trying to part the two, now WrestleMania opponents, but Jey Uso has managed to recover, does an awesome dive onto the sea of people with Gunther in the middle of it. He's like rattled and he starts to back away from the ring. The officials finally break it all up and Jey Uso's music plays. It's official. We've got our world title match. Jey Uso versus Gunther.
Yeah, it was heading in this direction. This was not a terrible way of building it. Like the idea of Jey Uso having to be brutally reminded, which he was on Raw last night. This is not party time. This is not a celebration. Do not be a novelty act. Don't you dare be a novelty act or a sports entertainer in the presence of an immaculate professional wrestler. They've further solidified the dynamic here. It's hot and it's, I don't want to say the word basic. It's simple. It's a very simple story that they're telling. It could be very effective. There's ways that they can play with this. There's various ways that they can further the story. Jey Uso can maybe do the yeets again. Gunther can kill him again. What if Jey Uso decides, no, I want to yeet with you, like to his people. Mm-hmm. That's nothing I want to do more, but it feels like a celebration. I've not done anything yet. And then maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks of, the 10 weeks of hell? The last 3 or 4 weeks, the crowd can yeet. And he's like, no, you can yeet. I'll never tell you to stop yeeting. I don't feel like I can celebrate yet. And then they could stop it deliberately. Otherwise, you might run the risk of it just becoming, it's the big debate. Is it yes or is it Fandango?
Yeah.
Is it Fandangoing or is it a yes movement? Somewhere in the between for me. But if they risk Fandangoing it, they could, for the remaining 3 or 4 weeks, decide to have Jey say, I'm not doing it. Feel it's a celebration. I'm not doing it until I win, if that is in fact the booking plan, which it should be.
Yeah, I think
he can win the fake world belt. Who cares?
We talked about
it was forged in battle by Seth Rollins, working a series of 3.5-star matches that were meant to be great matches, and that's all they really existed to be, were great matches, and they didn't even remotely trouble Match of the Year charts. What have we done for a year?
It was forged in battle by Seth Rollins from the mind of the one true diamond in this business, Paul Triple H Levesque, with an explanation that made absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
It's the world heavyweight title.
Yeah. Who cares? It's just a prop for Jey Uso to be a little bit more over.
They, last week, when they kind of pointed it in this direction, as we all thought it would go, it immediately felt like the struggle is going to be with these two. Like, it's a very, very good contrast established between the two. And it's, as we talked about, quite bold and cute simultaneously. They ran the match at Saturday Night's Main Event as if to illustrate the point before Gunther's had to make it over and over again. But it initially felt like it was going to be too hard to stretch that premise for the full duration of the WrestleMania build. They're not that company as much anymore. There probably will be more to it than simply Gunther can't abide yeet.
Yeah.
But I think there's more legs to that than I perhaps realised. What?
He's going to do a yeet chop at WrestleMania and laugh with a maniacal, smug grin on his face.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, right? Yeet! Bang! Or like a double-handed yeet, yeah.
He's going
like all in one.
Is going to do... Or
I thought he was going to do the pose, then the chop, just to mock him for it.
He could do that, or Jey Uso could go... yeet, and then chop him back with a yeet.
And everybody hears the echo, yeah. I thought in the build-up, if Jey Uso can get the advantage once, physically, it's one thing to actually get the better of Gunther and leave him laying. It'd be quite another to like leave him laying. He wins the night, he gets the last word sort of thing, but then he like puts the yeet sunglasses on Gunther's face as he's laying there, and Gunther has to sit up and like realise he looks around like that and hear the word, wait a minute, my view is impaired by yeet. And just
have you seen the
single visual?
Have you seen the clip of Gunther on LFG?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I want to make it.
No place for stupid Barbies. Stop the Barbie.
Cap your mannerisms.
I cannot wait for LFG, can I just say?
It's going to be great.
One of the events of the year,
cannot
isn't it?
wait.
6 or 7 weeks of just pure liquid respect in the business.
Yeah, pure liquid respect in the business.
It feels like it was built for us.
I know.
We will, as requested and as immediately highlighted by you in our DMs this weekend, we will have to figure out some time to at least do mini reviews of these things, because even the clips are just already good.
I'm at the very least, I am doing, if no one wants to join me, they don't have to, a deep dive into episode 1.
I can't wait. I'm in. I'm already in. We've got a recap of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley stuff from last week, and it takes us to an interview with Kathy Kelly, who's got Rhea Ripley with her, and she asks about Io Sky, but Rhea first wants to address, and I thought this was interesting, the kind of the elephant in the room of, I've got a top girl running around who can't decide who she wants to face at WrestleMania. So I'm waiting to hear back on that one. In the meantime, before she can address Io Sky, Io and Dakota Kai appear. Io tells Rhea that obviously she cost her a spot at WrestleMania. Io's going to remember that, and Rhea Ripley should think about that. We're going to get to the payoff later on. Actually, we'll do this now, because it is just another backstage segment ultimately after the Damage Control tag match. Rhea Ripley goes up to Io Sky and says, we're going to have a world title match. I was in the wrong to cost you that Elimination Chamber. So the night after Elimination Chamber, I think that's 3 Raws from now-ish, you get a title shot against me. So that's set. Yep. Wheels are in motion for that 3 weeks' time. A nice match to look forward to. Are they going to go Charlotte and Rhea? Because the words were pretty pointed. And I said this last week. I felt like Triple H was playing a bit of a game with Charlotte. I was like, yeah. People probably can't wait to see you. You get yourself out there and got a babyface promo. I'm going to have Rhea interrupt you. But you got to get those cheers first, Queen. Knowing that she would get booed. Yeah. And then she's gone and got booed on all 3 brands. And the Tiffany Stratton match is going to require a full Tiffany Stratton babyface turn to make that work. NXT was never a realistic option. Is Rhea Charlotte 3 back on the table, do you think?
I don't know.
Io's happening, isn't it? Io's booked for Raw now.
Io's doing something notable. Mm-hmm. At this point, I don't know if they know. That's the thing, where it doesn't feel like this fixed direction, but they've told this really interesting, unpredictable road to it. I don't know. Just feels like I've got no idea what they're playing at, basically.
Yeah. The Charlotte Flair benefit is that both matches are intriguing in their own way.
So what do you think is going to be Io and Tiff?
No, I think so. Rhea beats Io on television.
Yeah.
As this make good, and then Charlotte picks Rhea Ripley against the odds when we think she's going to pick Tiffany Stratton. I don't know, but the division is at very least a little healthier on SmackDown. Like if Bianca Belair was to win the Chamber, for example, Bianca Belair could challenge Tiffany Stratton and have one of those kind of classic Bianca Belair singles matches. Where Naomi or a returning Jade has something to do with it. Yeah. The thing with Bianca and Jade, or whatever that match ends up being, nobody would ever dispute Bianca getting a title match.
I guess what I'm trying to do is repel the idea of another triple threat.
Yeah.
Because that's where...
I don't want that.
They basically try to tell 2 stories last night. One of them seemed like a misdirect for the other of, Io Sky and this thriving tag team division that they were trying to pretend exists. I'm not saying it's thriving, but it's better of late. Or Io Sky getting in the back door of a triple threat ski.
Yeah.
Neither's ideal.
But if she loses to Rhea in that singles match, I suppose they don't need to give it a finish, but if she was to lose that match, there's no way back for her after that, is there?
Well, these fans are not in the mood to hijack. It's not that at all. Just like the fans in 2000 weren't going to hijack. But...
Can't believe you put head cheese on a quad.
Yeah, I know.
That would be them hijacking WrestleMania 2000.
McMahon in every corner.
The Big Show. I mean, he's a big nasty bastard, but he had his shot. Yeah. You got it.
But Io Sky is the rule-proving exception. Mm-hmm. Every time she does some awesome stuff in the ring, as she did last night, these people come up for a big time.
Well, let's get to that. You mentioned a thriving tag division, and this was the kind
I said they mentioned a thriving tag division. Don't look at that camera.
We had evidence of Michael Sidgwick's thriving tag division next, as Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez took on Damage Control in a pretty great little TV tag match. Oh my God. So Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are doing obviously the annoying little scrappy heel and her heater to kind of constantly take back advantage against Damage Control, who have got Dakota Kai's kicks and Io Sky's speed and aerials, and that's the formula sort of through 2 hot tags, and it works an absolute charm. You've got situations where like Raquel will just violently hurl Io Sky into the corner as the heels try and cut the ring in half. Then when Io's able to make the tag, Dakota Kai will come in and just hit those awesome kicks that too often are more things that she talks about rather than actually does.
Yeah.
But this was a great illustration when she's hitting them. There's like almost like the scorpion kick she does, where she does one like it's a rainbow flick over her own back sort of thing. There's like a couple of like brutal running knees and drop kicks that she manages to hit.
Not all of them hit, I will say that.
No, there's a little bit of thigh slapping and camera trickery that helps out in a couple of cases, but for the live crowd at least, it sort of feels like it keeps the momentum of the match going. Io tries a couple of times to get the over the moonsault, but Liv and Raquel are always able to counter. There's a point later on in the match where after making a bunch of quick tags and keeping the advantage, Io manages to tag out to Dakota Kai for a proper hot tag. They've been dying for like Damage Guitar to get back in. Crowd come up for a couple of really amazing near falls. Ultimately, when Dakota basically does one of those running kicks into the corner and stomps on Raquel's head, Raquel and Liv realise that they've got to start doing their kind of wacky double teams to take advantage. So Raquel picks Liv Morgan up and starts swinging her because you've got Dakota and Io in the ring at the same time when it's all broken down. Swings her at both women so that the baby faces hit the deck. And then when Liv Morgan sits back up from one of these after getting a 2 count, her face is just covered in blood.
Accidental blood is the best.
She appears to have busted her head open while getting swung into the two of them. The heels are like, oh, well, never mind. Raquel picks Liv Morgan up to hit the powerbomb on Liv onto Io Sky, I think it was, for a 2 count. Ultimately, Liv Morgan is able to, after the sort of second or third attempt to try and manage to hit Oblivion on Dakota Kai, Io Sky breaks up a near fall. There's a "This is awesome" chant at this point.
Actually somewhat earned.
Feels kind of justified. Dakota Kai is able to block Raquel Rodriguez powerbomb. There's a roll through from, Raquel tries to pick up Io Sky, but Io Sky is able to roll through. She hits a double stomp on Liv Morgan and then a massive boot to Liv Morgan's face. Liv Morgan is out. Raquel Rodriguez is on the floor. Io Sky hits the over the moonsault for the 1, 2, 3. And I would say somewhat surprisingly, considering Io's booking, the babyfaces get the win.
Yeah. That was almost a little bit terrifying. This Io Sky is so over and so good and so lively and so explosive. And everything she does looks so awesome. It's so impressive when a WWE wrestler who isn't in that totally pushed upper echelon gets these reactions in a TV match. Which is great. Like, I know it's February and you've probably got penciled in plans or you've firmed them up or whatever. You've got to do something of significance with Io Sky at WrestleMania. Makes me feel like a little smart again.
Yeah.
Does, honestly.
Come on, WWE.
You get the good wrestler doing the good wrestling. Come on, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Nostalgic for that little, aspiring dickhead that I was several years ago.
We were talking yesterday, the Vault channel have put the Aspiring Dickhead playlist up, haven't they?
Yeah, Akio Paul London. I will be checking it out.
The Velocity Ball Noah's collection.
This had a real energy and a personality to it before the accidental blood. And the accidental blood is yet more evidence that the wrestling gods are smiling upon Liv Morgan and are rewarding her for getting over, for sticking at it, for becoming somewhat undeniable. You thought they've crafted a good, pretty regressive, really story with her and Rhea Ripley, but nonetheless, it was young adult fiction version of WWF classic storytelling, you know? And they absolutely loved it last year. I thought, oh, they've got a story. I don't know if they've got an act necessarily in Liv Morgan, but just the facial expressions, how over she was, like she's carrying herself like someone who's one of the biggest key aspects of this renaissance. And she, every single week, is the hardest part is staying there, not getting there. She is staying there. She is staying there. I'm always really impressed by Liv Morgan every single week, and I cannot tell you, I'm someone who once compared Liv Morgan to if I had that horrible coriander disease that people have, I feel so sorry for them, where they taste soap.
Oh.
Some people have the coriander thing and taste soap and do not understand why it's the most versatile of all the herbs. And she had that just off-putting. It's the laugh. It's that inflection. I think she's turning pretty great. And this match just had so much personality to it. Drama, like some really good action, like a blistering pace. It was a bit light in in that sort of WWE TV style way, but the energy and the sense that the fans are really clicking with it in lockstep with the action was just, I was really impressed with this, really taken with it.
I think that's the biggest tell for the women's.
What's your favourite herb?
I don't know.
Coriander, but obviously, but if it's not coriander.
It's tarragon and herb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tarragon.
I've used it in like the 6 or 7 times in my life I've cooked.
Oh, fancy days.
Like green. It looks like little green confetti.
Big fan of basil.
Parmesan.
I like basil as
Parmesan
well.
is a cheese.
That's a cheese.
I tried to say Parmesan.
Close, but no cigar. Right down the time of the swear, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cheese.
It's a cheese.
I love coriander's the one, but basil.
Basil, I couldn't tell you which ones make the difference, to be honest. Just I'm not having anything to do with that in herbs, am I? Somebody else can do that.
What about chive for your little chive and onion crisps?
Nah, it like overcomplicates a solid cheese and onion crisps as a chive. Honestly, you see that and it's a tell. It's like now they've not got as good a cheese and onion. They don't back themselves.
Yeah, all right.
So they've added chives to the situation. Like, I know what Wilbon's favourite herb would be if he was in, by the way.
Stained already.
We've reduced it there, but I thought this was quite a good advert for the good things about
We've
this
reduced it all.
division.
Everything gets reduced.
It's all good stuff. Because there's a really bad advert on this very same broadcast for the stuff that is quiet and goes absolutely nowhere. Now, I'm with you on Liv Morgan. You had me thinking there, if they are babyfacing Tiffany...
What's got you thinking?
If they're babyfacing Tiffany Stratton, Liv Morgan is an outside bet to win the chamber, and they move her over to SmackDown, and there's your world title match, and it's like, test of both, a minute.
Yeah.
What have you got?
Yeah.
Like,
there's options.
Yeah. Cole and Pat McAfee are at the desk going through Sami Zayn's injuries. He suffered spinal...
Yeah, Pat McAfee with the old swear.
Yes.
The SHITE, the lesser heard in the Yanks.
It was in the... He was talking about the officiating from the Super Bowl in the Bayley Lyra Valkyria match.
Yeah.
He just says words funny, doesn't he, Pat McAfee? He's so charming.
Does he know that
championship?
I hate him. I detest him. Does Pat McAfee know that is a derivation?
Must he?
In England and in Ireland.
It's like when like an American learns wanker. Hey, you Brit wankers,
hey,
you Mr. Bean looking wankers.
wankers.
Spell it with like 4 R's and a Z. Wankers.
You ain't got the bollocks.
You ain't got the bollocks, you wankers. Sami Zayn doesn't have the bollocks, the wankers. He's got spinal compression and extreme nerve damage. So that's probably him missing WrestleMania, right, Sidge? He's not going to come back from that.
No, not at the time when you least expect it.
Kevin Owens recap from the program.
I know how to be. This story is really good.
It's unbelievable.
It's guaranteed to just be what a luxury that is to have Zayn and Owens do some stuff. It's pretty basic, like betrayal again for the 10th time. Could you just do these simple plot points and make them goated? Sure can.
It's going to be massive, isn't it? We go next to the Redmond position where Jackie's with the New Day, but they get rid of her because they're fuming. Fuming once again about the injustices in WWE. They believe that at least one of them should have been in the Elimination Chamber qualifiers. Kofi talks about how he was the one that brought the match back to life in Kofi Mania in 2019. The New Day only ever win in Chambers, and Rey Mysterio in particular is one they think doesn't deserve the spot. They're getting interrupted by the boos already, but then they get interrupted by Bayley's music, and again they see that as an act of disrespect as Bayley comes out for her match with Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria. It's at that point that it's interspersed with the clip of Gunther speaking to the trainees on LFG.
Captain Mannerisms, no one cares.
Stop the Barbie. And then we get to Bayley versus Lyra Valkyria, and I kind of wish we didn't, actually, because I wanted to like this, and they wanted to make it good, and that was the problem. We were all wanting things, not getting them. There was, I should say, before the match started, don't know if you spotted this, it cut to the front row, and one of Bayley's Vengeance Day opponents, Roxanne Perez, was in attendance for Monday Night Raw. Mm-hmm. What were you thinking about that?
Just, hyping up the upcoming match.
Oh, okay. They start off with some boring / basic / bland arm work. Brat.
What are you, 22 years old?
It's not the Royal Rumble anymore, yeah? We're not.
Do you like that album? Like that record?
I couldn't get into it, and I did genuinely try. And I was like, it's fine. It's not for me. I'm too old. And then gradually it sort of wormed its way, and it was in a lot of end of year lists, and I tried a bit more with it. And then WWE used Von Dutch for the Royal Rumble, and I started playing that again.
Of course you did. Why not?
Started playing that again because I thought it was really effective for the Rumble build. And it did grow on me eventually.
I like it.
Didn't get it.
I feel a bit too old for it.
We are too old for it.
I feel a bit too old. I'm not in the zeitgeist. I'm not in the moment of Brat. But it's an accomplished record with some good songs on it.
There was a thing, it might have been you.
Some very good songs on it.
Flagged this up to me as well.
I like the Sophie. I was a big fan of Sophie, so I like the touching references to Sophie throughout.
I don't like that because the branding of it was so successful that she went back through her entire archive and put the Brat aesthetic on all of it. If you look at her Spotify archive now, it's all been Bratified.
All right.
And I don't like that. And it kind of reminds me that, like, you talked about it before with wrestling, about how, like, the Spotify premium problem, it just all becomes this, like, commodity, doesn't it? And it's just like, I don't know. I saw that and I was like, I think I've gone off it now because you've kind of leaned so hard into that. I feel like I was fooled. Yeah. Rather than just told to appreciate your art. Enough about Brack, because we've got to get back to this match, Sidge.
We don't have to. We could just go skip.
Now.
Bring back the classics. Why do they ever go away?
The club classics, you see, it all ties back together. It all ties back together.
This is where Pat McAfee says there was some absolute calls from the Super Bowl while we're watching this absolute match breakdown really between Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. They're, like I say, doing a bit of
sludgy road to nowhere. Bayley special.
Yeah, like arm submission
no progression
stuff.
Of drama.
There's a bit where, because they've bust out the submissions and now they're supposedly in like the brawl portion of the match, and Bayley runs at Lyra Valkyria with the sunset flip bomb, and they just totally lose each other. Amazingly, it looks terrible, and then they're able to find the angle where it doesn't, and the replay looks genuinely great.
It looks like
shoots it from the other corner.
Someone should do that. Someone should do that for reels. Someone should do that for reels with a Z.
Just like
like that's a good spot. That
Well,
if they tried.
If they actually made it look good, yeah. But then it happens again. So they've lost each other on that one. But again, the replays like made it look class, and we're back to live action. Bayley goes to the elbow drop and it gets blocked. Lyra Valkyria goes for a tornado DDT, which again looked real bad. And then there's a roll through to a Bayley to belly, which also looks bad. And I think even Michael Cole might say, like, beyond the didn't get all of it. They're sort of saying, no, they can't quite put it together or something like that.
Can't work each other out.
Yeah, something like that. Lyra misses a kick, but it was kind of one of them misses where you're not sure if she's missing on purpose.
Yeah. It's a sludgy.
Bayley's a running knee that it doesn't really connect. Nothing's working no more. Ultimately end up fighting on the apron. Lyra manages to hit a leg drop to the back of Bayley's head as she's balanced over the rope. She gets a roll up before 2. Bayley eventually rolls her through the ropes and back into the ring. And when Lyra Valkyria goes for a Mahistral cradle, Bayley just kind of like manages to power her over and get the 1, 2, 3. She'll be in the Elimination Chamber match. Lyra loses clean, and one of the more, uncounterable pinning holds is countered for the win. I didn't like any of this.
No, it didn't really progress. It had that. There's very few worse feelings when you're watching a wrestling match. Was this still going on? So it was still like it just
10 minutes. This
it felt like it was such like a weirdly, even before the execution, which if you've really excellently done in your recap, buried them adequately.
Yeah.
Of execution was iffy throughout, but it was a bit formless and in one gear, and you just thought, is this ever going to end? Oh, it's ended. It's just no, you meant to go up and up and up and up and up and up and up, finish. It was burner.
It's
finish. Right, so the match isn't very good. It's got this like one track pacing, iffy execution. And it just ends. The coolest thing they did was look like a complete accident. And if it wasn't an accident, they didn't register it properly or sell it properly or anything. Which leads me to believe they just whiffed it.
Yeah.
In this post-match, I thought for sure one or two things is happening. Either Lyra Valkyria is going to turn on Bayley at some point in a mirror image, or I thought, she's going to turn here because she's getting little broed so hard by Bayley. This is her first match since winning the Intercontinental title, non-title, for a better title, a title that At this point, they can coexist titles. This one can't at the moment because they don't care about it, evidently. And then she does the little, that she's like, hey, well done, you, Lyra Valkyria. It felt like Lyra Valkyria's debut or a match she would have had 2 months into a run, not when she's meant to be a champion. The visual was so pathetic, and I felt so bad for how pitiful and small Lyra Valkyria looked. It looked like Bayley was interacting with Izzy in 2015.
It's funny you mention that because I've actually got a couple of segments on from this.
But we are big fans of Bayley, or were.
We are.
And
That's
true.
true.
And we're going to prove this, aren't we?
We are indeed. We're going to feature a certain Bayley match in our series Best Match Ever, coming soon to the WhatCulture Wrestling YouTube podcast channel, as well as something else that is going to be dropping as well. There's going to be lots more awesome matches that we're going to cover on that are going to be a bit better than this one. Well, quite a lot. Lyra Valkyria is being consoled backstage by Otis, Akira Tozawa, and Maxine Dupree, and just like a total losers convention. And that's some going when WWE's still as boiling hot as it's been to have this many geeks on screen at the same time. American made.
So hang on. How hot is it?
This week, it's hot. It's just not like boiling hot. I can still keep my finger on my pulse and not like have to like let it go immediately because my blood's boiling and pumping through my body at a rate of knots.
Okay, well, thank you from Dr. Fed, who's now abandoned his practice, and he's now going to be our resident yeet-urologist.
That's such good humour.
It's all good stuff.
That's so amazing. Did you just come off the top of your head? You didn't mention that.
I did not road test that in the office or nothing.
Hey, you are right.
Thank you.
That's why I was just excited to watch the setup because I was like, what's he going to say next?
Love it.
That's what I
said. Ivy Nile wants the Intercontinental Championship. Why? And she says, and then the Creeds will win the tag team champions too.
They don't.
They're just geeks and nerds and dweebs. Rubbish, this. Jackie Redmond is with Ludwig Kaiser. He wants to fight Penta, but Pete Dunne interrupts to say, I didn't help you last week because we're friends. Keep out of my business.
Keep out of my business.
And Ludwig Kaiser's like, oh, yep, fine. Don't like the look of you either, mate. But clearly an alliance is forming between these two. And then AJ Styles is on the way to the ring, but he walks past Kaiser and they kind of give each other a bit of a cold stare on the way. I don't mind that. Don't love it. Don't mind it. Them two, AJ Styles and Ludwig Kaiser. That sure is fine. That's what I'd say about that.
That could be a 3-3 second match, or 3 1/4 or anything in WrestleMania.
Just the worst version of the Gorilla Monsoon hyperbole. This is a 3 1/4 match in any building.
Yeah.
Great.
WrestleMania, PWG, 3 1/4 for that.
But it is AJ Styles making his return to Monday Night Raw next. He's out, obviously. A little bit. a little bit, but I think at this point...
I'm not expecting The Rock, so it's fine.
He's never been that, and like at this point, as a babyface at least, AJ Styles coming across like a functioning human being rather than a dumbass, I think benefits him getting cheers in the crowd.
I'm taking the piss. I've quite enjoyed AJ Styles on the mic in WWE at various points. I like the way he called him when they did that Austin interaction. Steve! Yeah. That was good.
I'll never love AJ Styles like I did in those early TNA years, but I'll like him a lot. I have a fondness for AJ Styles to this day. Yeah, as I say, if you're going to ruffle some hair, it looks like the nicest hair to ruffle, doesn't it? No, he's in Nashville. A lot of my history took place in Nashville. He's talking about TNA. Got some major deja vu going on right now, let me tell you.
What is that, French?
He talks about coming to this building a few months ago, and he couldn't wait to wrestle, but it did not go well. Maybe because his feet are flat. But he got himself injured again. That's not a laughing matter. Him thinking the earth is flat is. But yeah, he got injured. He's back now, though, and he's still got some gas in the tank. He says anything that's worth doing is worth doing well, even if it's hard and difficult, and he wants to do it here in Smashville, Tennessee. He's got a long to-do list, and he wants to remind everybody that he's still phenomenal. He's interrupted by Dirty Dom and Carlito. Dominic's getting interrupted by the boos. Carlito yells at the fans to shut up. And Dominic Mysterio explains that, well, AJ, it has been a while since you're on Monday Night Raw, and a lot's changed around here. As if to say that, like, kind of he runs Monday Night Raw now, and AJ's like, sure looks like it. Hey, guys, Where's Damian Priest? Where's Rhea Ripley? Where's the Terror Twins?
Where's the Terror Twins?
Where's goddamn losers? These freaking assholes. So he's in the lean on the roof. Am I right, guys? You got about 13,000 fans telling you to shut down. Yeah, so he mocks them for kind of being complete losers on Raw now. They don't like that. They try to beat him up.
Before you get to this bit, I must point out that Carlito is wearing skinny purple jeans.
Yes.
And AJ Styles, don't take no kindly to those skinny purple jeans. He doesn't know what to say.
No.
He goes, and he got skinny purple jeans on. Skinny purple jeans, what are those? And it's like, I commend AJ. It seemed like he was stifling a slip.
It's not always the case with AJ.
Do you know what I mean?
Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was just like, but they ain't boot cut.
Yeah.
It don't make no sense. You're telling me
what the hell are you got on, boy?
You're telling me jeans ain't all boot cut and the earth ain't flat. Well, I guess I don't know shapes and times and things no more.
Why is it purple?
Why is it purple? Why am I blue? I'm all raw. Forgot my reds.
Why'd your legs as wide as your other legs? He did well. He did well.
He did.
He's done really well. Not
timelessly over.
else.
AJ Styles didn't get himself in trouble. He gets his ass kicked for a bit. Is able to make the comeback. Hits a phenomenal forearm on Carlito, and then later on catches up with Postman Pearce. At this point, he's taking his shirt and jacket off for some reason. Like, I need to fight Dirty Dom. I need to look at my body. I am ready to fight Dirty Dom. So he's going to fight Dirty Dom on Raw next week, I think. It just has great.
Welcome back.
That's a sacred cow well slaughtered.
Welcome back.
One of your other favourites is up next, Sidge, is we're back at the Redmond position for Seth freaking Rollins, who makes an appearance to talk about the Elimination Chamber. Jackie notes that it's getting stacked with a lot of names that Seth is very familiar with, kind of bristles at the mention of the likes of the CM Punks and the Drew McIntyres. But next week, he'll enter the match. Seth feels great about it. It's always time for Monday Night Rollins. The path to WrestleMania is getting clearer by the second. Congratulations to Jey Uso. If he's taking on Gunther, it means that I guess I'll have to take on Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship, and I'll do it by winning the Chamber. At this point, Finn Balor appears, who Seth's going to be facing on Raw next week for this slot. Finn Balor says the only thing that all eyes are on, Seth, is your continued downfall. You've lost to CM Punk. You've lost your mind at the Royal Rumble. And the only thing standing in him being Finn's way of entering, of going to WrestleMania is entering the Chamber and watching you fall apart once more. They go back a long way. Seth says, yeah, we've done this dance once or twice before. He's, of course, referencing the SummerSlam injury, which nobody will ever escape from.
Yeah, and
we've had this boring dance several times before.
Yeah, we've referenced this boring dance several times before, wasn't it? In fact, the informed their feud of, was it last year or the year before?
Yeah, 2 years before.
2023.
Seth says, like, every time they get in the ring, they put on a show. It's because of all the times they've been in the ring before. Seth has unfinished business to take care of for CM Punk. Sorry, he's going to tie up some loose ends with Cody Rhodes as well. He does tease that he wants Cody one more time at WrestleMania, and ultimately Finn is just standing in his way. Seth there gets his music played, but Finn smiles at him sinisterly as the two part ways.
Okay. So take away all the Renaissance, Resurgence, Netflix, and hot crowds, and booms, and temperature checks, and how hot everything is. What you are left with is a dynamic that's never really yielded a classic match, that Seth Rollins is going to win ahead of not winning at Elimination Chamber. Does this need all the pomp and circumstance? I understand you got to sell matches and pretend that this isn't what it really is, but this didn't do enough to convince me that it's not going to be a gentleman's three of a match with a predictable outcome.
You don't suppose, I can't believe I'm going to say this, you don't suppose Seth might try a bucker bomb on Finn on the ringside barricade? Because I best not say.
We don't want to tempt fate.
Something happened once upon a time, Sish. Yeah. They were putting on a show out there.
Hang on, 2016? Yeah. 9 years ago is a difference between...
Do you want to play the gap game? It's a bigger gap than Hogan Warrior 1 at WrestleMania 6 and Hogan Warrior 2 at Halloween Havoc 98.
Yeah.
The gap is longer.
Mega Powers exploding and the rise of Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14 from 5 to 14.
Yeah. 2 Austin runs back to back in a year. But he could injure him again. And then what? Eh? Seth's going to win. I'm with you broadly because I just don't think anyone doubts Seth Rollins will qualify for elimination.
Yeah, it's bored and bored.
They have an interview with Grayson Waller and Austin.
How could you care?
About these two, yeah. You've got to be the biggest. As we know, every wrestler's got a biggest fan. You've got to be the biggest fan of these two men and want to watch this still and buy into the drama, I think. I think that's the only way. You've got to have the biggest Seth fans and the biggest Finn Balor fans.
Well, thanks for answering the question, but...
What's the difference between them two and Sammy and Kevin?
That's a great take, that, Nicholas.
Not even close, is it?
There's no gravity there. They're not real.
No.
They're both sub-omegas.
Yeah.
Devitt used to be great.
Devitt.
I'm not calling him by the WWE name.
Can't even do, it's so funny to me still that,
Tyler Black.
We used to do Claudio and Merxley, and they've become Claudio and Merxley. No. Full circle. Great Smaller and Austin Theory.
Tyler Black was never over. Future jobber.
Ring of Honor fans didn't even like him. They talk
really?
Not really, no, he wasn't that guy, was he? They want Grayson Waller and Austin Theory want the NXT title, and there's a little bit of tension between the two of them because only one of them can. They're going to be in the match against Obafemi at Vengeance Day. They compare Sami Zayn to a homeless man and call Sheamus a failure, and then get themselves all excited, popping, going failure after failure after failure after failure. So presumably Sheamus +1 maybe is going to take on the pair of these, or they're going to split up against Obafemi. I don't know. Pat McAfee recaps how he got made up look like an old fella for a Super Bowl commercial. So
Couldn't care less.
Michael Cole said Sipowitz. And I've never seen an episode of Sipowitz, but I've always liked TV shows that reference it because it makes me laugh. And I think
Sipowitz?
He's like an old, hard-boiled cop from an American cop drama of the 70s or the 80s, I think.
Right.
But like The Simpsons and Family Guy and South Park, all these various shows have referenced Sipowitz. I think Sipowitz might have been one of them guys that didn't necessarily play by the rules. He got it done.
He obviously gets it done.
Yeah.
But not by the rules.
That's Sipowitz, yeah.
Yeah, Sipowitz for you.
Aye. I forgot to mention before we get to the tag team match that I can't be arsed with. AJ Styles gets Dominic Mysterio, but then as he's about to walk away, he bumps into Bron Breakker, who's just wearing...
he's got a hat!
He's wearing a massive cowboy. They put a hat on, the coolest guy in the show. It's even better. Malibu Stacy got a new hat, and it looks class. He's wearing a cowboy hat, and...
he was in Nashville.
He was in Smashville, and he's just like... Pretty around. I hope so. I think I want some of that. Yeah. AJ Styles is setting up a few things as well. And then we go to the World Tag Team title match between the Creeds, who are Ivy Nile, and the War Raiders, who are fast becoming two Pete Dunnes to me. This is like...
You bought me, sir. Two Pete Dunnes.
They're big... but none of it's got the snap it used to have.
Not the Creeds?
No, the War Raiders and the aerials. They kind of have to tease them out a little bit because you can't just do as many as you used to because you can't. It's like...
it's War Machine doing the Fed run.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's what it is.
You're exactly right. Nothing happens before the I say commercial break, but before the fade out and the fade back in. We come back and the Creeds are starting to take control. They've got Eric isolated. And the Creeds do some pretty cool stuff to keep him isolated as well. There's that great rolling slam that Julius does. Brutus comes in and just has loads of fun kicking his ass.
He's laughing as well.
He does his big laugh as he hoys Eric into the ring post. Is like a flying knee from Julius, which goes into another slam from Brutus. So they're still putting it together, but again, it's Creed stuff and it's not over.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating to watch because we know how hot the crowd should be for this kind of offense, but it is what it is, I suppose. Brutus locks on an armbar on Eric, and that's supposed to allegedly bring the crowd back into it for a mid-hot tag. Ivar gets in. There's body backdrops and slams and everything to Brutus and Julius. They're bumping around. But again, the Creeds had just managed to able to like get control. They cut the ring in half once again, so we get the second period of offense. Was that really necessary? I don't know. But this time it doesn't last as long. Eric's able to tag back in. It all breaks down. Brutus hits an angle slam on Ivar for 2. There's the double like handspring elbow from Ivar where he kind of surprises both Creeds. Ivar goes up top. Ivy Nile gets on the apron, provides just enough of a distraction, very Golden Lovers-esque. She doesn't do anything she doesn't need to. Just that like long stare. At which point Julius in the gap is able to do the single vertical leap to the top, hits a superplex. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Brutus gets the moonsault, but it only gets 2. At this point, Eric gets back in, is able to power Julius over the top rope, tag in legally. You've got Eric and Brutus in sort of a power guys face-off. Eric manages to sort of win the Bouyer spot ultimately. The War Raiders go for War Machine, but then when it looks like they're about to finish them off, Julius just appears back on the scene with a tag title belt and just clocks Eric, I think it was, in the head with the belts for the DQ after like 10 minutes, man, or something.
Nah.
And the Creeds pose with the belts after the match as if to say, well, next time I'll win them. Well, you just didn't. And in like competently booked WWE, that might be you out of getting a shot ever again. A bad finish for a match that condensed all of the good stuff into the last like 90 seconds.
Thank you. I need to thank you, Hamflett, for saying that and putting the words into my mouth, because this was my least favourite genre of match. I talked about this on the Collision review. The 2 best genres of match, other than just, the 2 best genres of match are the one where you're so hyped that you feel like I'm worried that it's not going to be as good as I possibly think it is in my head. And then within a minute or 2, you think, oh, it's going to be even better. Thank God. This is what I watch it for. My soul's on fire. This is why I'm glad to have been afflicted by the pro wrestling curse, because so little of it is great, but when it's great, it's the best. The other is, where the hell did this come from? It's amazing. I had no expectations for this. And Bandito, Keith, Brian Keith. What, have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen it.
Watch it. Okay. It's really good. Really, really good.
I like the matchmaking. I like they do the kind of like Old West cowboy guys.
Honestly, watch it. It's great. It's great. My least favorite genre of match is, am I clinically depressed? There's a possibility of that. Am I depressed? With a lot of mental health issues. And
it's just the idea that like this great distraction that is pro wrestling. That's where this match sent you. That's the sort of the mind palace you got to live in watching this.
It's the is there something wrong with me match.
Yeah.
Because I saw a certain amount of praise, not a great deal towards this. And it was a sort of match that, you're no fun if you don't like this. Come on, it's just big guys flying around and kicking each other's ass. And this was is there something wrong with me because people enjoy this and I don't? Like, is it me? I'm
amazed I was buzzed for it.
Am I capable of feeling joy?
I tried.
I know.
I'm amazed this was genuinely.
Like the other tag absolutely smoked this.
Yes.
The other tag was smoking. And this one, it was not.
It was not. We go back to I'm just not War Raiders guy, I don't think. I think I've come to accept that at this point. I never will be.
Yeah, it's War Machine doing their little phoned in Fed run. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah. We go back to the Judgment Day Clubhouse. Obviously, Liv Morgan is nursing the cut from earlier on. Her and Raquel are kind of trying to get over the fact they've lost. Dominic Mysterio has obviously had his ass kicked by AJ Styles, and Finn walks in. He's not happy. He says, "Dominic Mysterio, you're the one that started all this with AJ Styles, so you're gonna have to finish him. But I'm not helping you." And says to Liv Morgan, maybe if you listen to me, you wouldn't be like on the losing end and all that sort of stuff. And there's all this sort of dissension.
Same every week.
Dom's like, well, look, numbers are low. Like, look at who we've lost. Like, it's not just Rhea and Damian Priest. JD McDonough's on the injured list. I'm stuck hanging around with Carlito and he stinks. Like, can we have a new member, please, or something? And Finn's like, nah, we're not doing that. We don't need a new member. I'll beat Seth Rollins. I'll go to WrestleMania and win the WWE Championship, and that'll fix everything. I don't think he's going to do that. No. I don't think it's going to fix it.
Gut says no.
Yeah. This is where we see Damage Kataral and Rhea Ripley backstage.
I mean, it's nice that they pretend that he's got a chance and stuff.
Yeah.
Makes all of it matter a little bit.
And it's all coming to an end, isn't it?
Finally, yeah. Well, how you say that? Roxanne Perez still isn't on the main roster, mate.
Just, you keep campaigning for it.
Shut up!
Let it go.
Kick your ass.
Rhea Ripley gives it the other shot. We got the Punk next. He comes out, huge pap, obviously. While he's doing his long entrance,
such a jag off.
While he's doing his long entrance, we cut to him in the LFG show He's like, check this, Sid. He's holding
How is it in there?
He's holding the microphone.
How is it in there?
What's that?
CM Punk's ace.
Very, very good. That's good.
It's all good
That's
stuff.
good humour. Check this out, right? On LFG, CM Punk is sat speaking to the kids. And he's probably telling them all he knows about wrestling. And he's holding the microphone. He says, like, in everybody else's hand, Sid, this is a microphone. In his hand, it's a pipe bomb. And in front of him, they're like, and he goes, promo class, cut a promo. Oh, I can't wait to watch that.
I can't wait.
Cutting your freaking first promo in front of CM Punk. All right. What can possibly go wrong?
Yeah, I know.
They're going to be out of the business forever.
Can't wait.
Running scared.
Can't wait for this.
It's going to be brilliant.
It's going to be great.
It cuts back to the building. CM Punk's hyped for Elimination Chamber. He's looking at the sign and he's explaining how he expected to win the Royal Rumble and he didn't get it done. But he's not mad at Jey Uso. He likes watching people he likes accomplish their goals. And it's okay because his goal is right there. A bit like Seth Rollins, now that Jey Uso's named Gunther. I like this detail throughout the show. With Jey naming Gunther, the ramifications on everybody else, the chamber's for Cody now. That's kind of like cleared the way. And as Punk says, he reiterates the line for a couple of weeks ago. I told him I'm going to stab him in the front and I'll do it by winning the chamber. One person just kind of said he was going to be in the chamber. Didn't even qualify. Not mad about it anymore. John, I respect that you're a legend. You get to go in the chamber. I guess I'm going to have to kick your ass. Elimination Chamber. Says much the same. He's going to do the same to Drew McIntyre. He's such a piece of garbage. He's not even on Raw anymore, but Punk will beat him up again. He doesn't even like mentioning Seth Rollins, so he kind of hopes he doesn't qualify. And it could be Finn Balor, and he'll kick his ass as well. He's never been more confident in his life. The road may be hard, but he points at the WrestleMania sign, and it says WrestleMania still belongs to one man, CM Punk, but he's interrupted by Logan Paul. You can hear Punk on the microphone say, I don't even know whose music that was. And Pat McAfee says, yeah, this feels like a recurring theme. So the commentators and wrestlers just burying Def Rebel on main at this point.
Yeah.
Bayley did it in a signing.
I did, yeah.
And there was like a story that got out that like many wrestlers are saying, and it felt a little bit legendary, didn't it? That like the way it made it out for us to talk about. But it's feeling like a talking point at this point, isn't it?
How long must this go on? How long must this go on?
I mean,
Do they
Logan
know where
Paul's,
the bodies are buried or something? Like, what possible justification is there that wildly unpopular?
and the wrestlers being given carte blanche to just say it.
It's one thing for Bayley to do it, of all people, like helpful Bayley. And they're saying on Raw that the music sucks. What are we doing here? Is there one musician in the world?
Yes, and his name is Def Rebel.
You know, it's ridiculous.
So sorry, Def, we're going to have to go in a different direction. I've said it before, I'm not as bothered or campaigning as much for like licensed themes as you might be yourself, but you can certainly audition a bunch of musicians.
Good in-house composers.
Get a new team, get some people together. We're going to talk on Best Match Ever very, very soon about a CFO's favourite of ours. A Legacy is a pretty good one, and it looks even better when you're comparing it to Def Rebel. Yeah. And that's like relatively recently. The people are out there. But yeah, we'll go to Logan Paul anyway. He talks about how obviously CM Punk had name-checked Logan Paul as a reason to like a stick to beat Kevin Owens with, and wasn't so funny when he eliminated him from the Royal Rumble. He calls that elimination the greatest 15 minutes of fame of CM Punk's career.
That's a good line.
Yeah, he had Punk's number at the Rumble, and he's going to have his number at the Chamber because tonight is Rey Mysterio's 15 minutes of fame, and he'll beat him to qualify. Punk says he would have mentioned Logan Paul earlier when he was going through his Elimination Chamber rivals, but he forgot he was even in the match because the number Logan Paul pulled tonight was 619. He should be worrying about Rey instead of him, and that sets up the match next. And you see like Punk and Rey exchange like a little moment between them as they like passing the aisle. And that's
Loved their series of matches.
Punk and Rey.
Yeah,
it was magic.
Loved them.
It was magic. And Sidge, main event time. It takes us to Rey Mysterio versus Logan Paul, Elimination Chamber qualifier. Logan Paul gets the microphone before the match to say, he calls Rey Mysterio the second greatest Mysterio after Dominic. Says, people say I came to WWE just to get rich. I was rich before. People say I came to WWE just to get famous. I was famous before. I do all this for the love of the game. The game being beating up Rey Mysterio like I did when I took his US title in Saudi Arabia. I'm going to do it again. He's really winning me round of late, Logan Paul.
And then the bell rings.
And then the bell rings, and we get the Logan Paul match.
I would argue this is worse, but do the recap.
Okay, so yeah, they're doing Rey Mysterio's like taped up, various injuries. He's got the kinesio tape and stuff, but it's still Rey Mysterio on the old STEMI C, so you can always view basically. And obviously, so what I'm the point I'm trying to illustrate by that is that obviously Logan Paul is super athletic, but Rey Mysterio can still meet him every step of the way. Logan Paul is cocky and confident and then gets kind of like whipped to the floor, and Rey Mysterio is like, nah, I'm Rey Mysterio, I'm a living legend, get on my level. Logan eventually manages to take advantage. He's able to like dodge a bunch of Rey Mysterio's like charging offense. He does a couple of leapfrogs. He catches Rey Mysterio with a pretty awesome looking tilt-a-whirl gutbuster, the one that Rey always like bumps horribly off because he looks so small when somebody's got him in that sort of hold. And Logan Paul is now targeting the stomach of Rey Mysterio. Rey manages to fight back though, hits him with a wicked looking corkscrew plancher. The man is ageless seemingly. And Logan's thrown back in where he gets his head bounced off the top turnbuckle. Rey goes up to the top and Logan follows him up. And you mentioned Bandito earlier on. Logan hits like the flipping fall-away slam that Bandito does off like the second rope, and that puts Rey Mysterio down. We come back from the fade-in, fade-out.
Hangman Page also does it, of course.
He does do it.
That's why Logan Paul does it.
He's quite inspired by Logan Paul, isn't he? He's beaten Rey Mysterio down. It's funny you mention that as well, because in this match, Logan Paul does that from the apron flipping clothesline. I think Hammond later called it the buckshot. So yeah, I'd never made that connection. Rey Mysterio manages to take advantage again.
Yeah, there's no quota for an insufferable.
It feels like there is.
I know.
You get it. It feels like there is. It's got to be one of us at any given moment.
Yeah. All three.
Or all three. It's all good stuff.
It's all insufferable stuff.
We're all insufferable wankers.
Speak for yourselves.
The springboard moonsault.
God, that Sidgwick such a dickwad.
Sidgwick. Where are we at? Let me check my notes.
Probably. You know where you're probably at? It's probably Logan Paul appealing to the crowd and taunting the crowd.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Definitely.
Yeah. That's the disturbing truth behind recaps.
Rey Mysterio
is that it would take like a longer time if you actually didn't talk about the moves and the story of the match, but what you did in between. My God, this is
dark truth. It's all moves after a while, isn't it? So I was looking at moves, I was thinking, yeah, but we've talked about those moves, or have we? Like Rey Mysterio, it's like a gorgeous lion salt in this, and they are going at quite a pace, but it is just moves.
Moves and a lot of taunting, and God, I thought this was boring.
Logan gets a bit of blood. You like blood? Like kind of comes out of his nose, and he gets patted on. Rey gets a 619, goes up, he goes for his big splash. Logan gets the knees up, he hits one more massive punch that he's got, and then is like his suplex into the DDT, the pulverizer, and he gets to 3. Logan Paul has qualified for the Elimination Chamber. He's gloating in the aisle as Rey Mysterio sells in the ring, and then like literally as Raw goes off the air, the last image you see is New Day just rushing the ring as it fades to black. They're decking Rey Mysterio. I was like, what are you doing? But
what are you doing?
Don't have any time to consider that because we're off the air.
Yeah. Time stood still at various junctures in this match. I thought it was really, really boring, and I think what has happened is Logan Paul, obviously the debut is the debut, then the big matches. A lot of time and attention is devoted purely to this match, whereas if you're a pro, not like Logan Paul was at the time, it would take a considerably shorter amount of time. But now that he's in the mix, I think that the flaws of Logan Paul become more exposed, and this just felt like it went on for ages, and it was a lot of the same thing in a loop. This control segment really sapped the life out of me watching it. It felt way longer than 14 minutes, which is why I had to check my own sanity that it was 14, and it was in fact 40 minutes. So the match itself, the body didn't do a great deal for me. There's good news and bad news about the finish. The good news is that he's finally given him something that Hangman Page doesn't do. It's good for him. The other bit of good news is that it looked pretty sick.
Yeah.
The bad news is that he's not going to be able to make it look that good against virtually anybody else. Can you imagine him doing that to Randy Orton or Punk?
Yeah.
Or Roman, We'll see, but it feels like a situational signature.
Yeah, I'm not.
More than a finish.
We talked about this a lot as he did win us round a bit, both of us, after we were critical of it. We were not excited about his return because I think we've seen the best of it. I still think we have seen the best of it, and then occasionally he's got a little shock in him. I saw a clip from, I don't know how recent this even was, but I saw a clip of Kenny Omega doing a stream, and somebody asked a question about Logan Paul, or somebody said, Logan Paul's a great professional wrestler, isn't he? And Kenny Omega was, considering this is the man that once said what he said, to the entire AEW locker room. He was extremely diplomatic, but even then, he was very Kenny about it, and it was something along the lines of, I think it's great that you think that. And it's a credit to his work that he has made you think that. And then he goes on to say, but, it's obviously developed enough that his work is developed enough that it suits the WWE setting. But what you want to see next is, can he make you believe that he's a guy that is just doing stuff off the top of his dome when he walked into the building that day, not something that is carefully rehearsed and practiced and practiced and practiced so that he can just drop it in wherever. It's quite funny because he he goes through his Rolodex trying to find names of people that he just considers total naturals and ones that made it feel real. And he goes your Terry Taylors or your Terry Funks. I didn't mean to just name Terry's. There's a lot of good wrestlers. But that's sort of that way he just sort of drifts off for a second. Yeah. But yeah, so he's it was a very nice way of you sense amongst the wrestling community, there must be a lot of wrestlers that have seen Logan Paul. And then I'm maybe, I don't know how to scroll to Twitter. Why are they saying he's good?
Yeah.
He's a copier.
He's a copier.
Nothing but a copier.
He's a copier.
He copies loads. Yeah. He copies a bunch of different guys.
The guy remains an unbelievable athlete. Like the buckshot he did at the Rumble, I was like, it looks like you are sort of glitching across the ring because you've got so much momentum because he's such a gifted athlete. Yeah. He smokes a lot of them. He's an athlete. He's smoking.
Watching a clip of an old stand-up in the 90s, and he just you'll know him, but a lot of our viewers and listeners won't. Freddie Starr, bang average, end of the pier, old 70s, 80s, big comedian. Yeah. And it's one of them audience with things from the 90s. So it's 96, 97, and just at various points he just stops his act and goes, smoking, because it's over in the cinemas at the time. I'm smoking. He gets a cigarette out. I'm smoking.
Oh God!
Yeah, that's
Freddie Sidgwick.
That's films. He's just taking the cash for his films.
Well, layers of irony.
Not you. What about Freddie Starr?
Yeah, but I just did it at the podcast. So
he was on a stage when the film was still in the cinema. Sidge. Yeah. That was charming irony when you did it. Yeah. Do you find this podcast charming and ironic, or are we just a couple of Mr. Bean-looking wankers? Let us know on X or Twitter at WhatCulture WWE, where you can also find Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
You can find me at Michael Hamflett. You can find our brilliant producer, Adam Nicholas, at
It's Adam Nicholas.
And we'll be back later on with a podcast talking about some of the AEW releases. We'll be back later this week with all the usual sort of other coverage. And until next time, we will see you soon.